More drama that I've somehow indirectly caused. Hi, I'd like to buy X deck core. So I was looking around trying to buy a Malice core recently so I can play the upcoming format with the best deck because I'm feeling like I want to be a combo Andy. So I want to try do some comboing. And I asked on the British Facebook group to buy a deck, a Malice deck core. And then some guy messaged me and says, "What are you paying?" I just closed deleted the message request. Like, what are you paying? What do you mean, what am I paying? Well, apparently this is controversial. So a lot of people think it's reasonable to ask someone, what are you paying? If you're, maybe I'm going crazy, but if you're selling something and I ask you how much for, you should tell me the price of what you're selling it for. Like, you don't walk into a supermarket and then you try and buy milk, and then the customer service cashier, Daisy, the 20-year-old college student says, well, what are you offering? Like, no one does that. That's not a thing. Now, you can argue and say it's different because that's a professional environment and all that kind of stuff, and this is just people trading. Okay, fine, fair enough. But even in trade and haggle societies in the Middle East, in Asia, where it's very common to haggle, the initial price comes from the seller, usually. Initial pricing typically is first set out by the seller. So yeah, I understand. It's business, baby. Time is money. Hey, friend, I kill your fucking dog, Tony. Capitalism, etc., etc. You want to time is money, friend. You want to make some deals. You can make deals, but I'm just saying, the initial pricing, it comes from the seller. Put it this way. This is what I think. If you ask someone, well, what are you willing to pay? You are fishing for that person to overshoot the value so that you can get more money. Which I guess you could argue fair enough. And on the one hand, you can say, fine, that's the art of the deal. That's trading. That's how it works. But you just be honest about it, right? Because that is what you're doing, right? Like if you say, what are you paying? And I say $100 for something you would accept 70 for. What are you going to do? Are you going to say, no, that's too much? Has anyone ever in the history of this universe asked the question, what are you paying, got a number that was over the number that they had in their mind, and then said, oh, no, sorry, no, that's too expensive. No, I can't do that. No, they would say, oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Right? So that's what you're doing. If you say, what are you paying, you are trying to essentially, not scam, but you are trying to fish for a higher number. That's all it is. Right? It's crazy. I don't think they were looking for an exact price, like a ballpark. Are you paying face value or trying to get a deal? If you tell me you'd like to pay 80% card mark, I'm not willing to sell it for that. It saves me the time of pricing it out. Well, Gage, all of this time and effort and all of this dancing around and, all these words that you've just said could have been avoided and ignored, and we could just save everyone's time if you just give me a number. Just give me a number. Okay, so I'm going to give you a number and say 80% card market value. It's like, what's 80% card market value? Then the seller goes and checks the listed, recently sold prices on TCG Player, whatever. Okay, here's a couple of numbers. Let's take an average of that. Let's take 20% off. That's my number. Just tell me your number. Like what? I don't know, man. I don't know. If it's new cards, the market can change every 24 hours. I'm sure you would want the most up-to-date price too, especially if it's in your benefit. I'll look it up when I know what you're... See, this is why I hate trading. Right? Because it's in my benefit, it's in your benefit, it's in their benefit, it's in the seller's benefit. This is why I just hate trading, Because everyone is trying to make a good deal, because when you trade, you're never going to make a one-for-one trade, right? That just doesn't happen. If I give you a card that's like $20 and you give me a card that's $22, right? Someone is still kind of losing a better value from there, right? And it's I don't want to have to sit and why don't you throw in this thing? Or and then someone asks you, okay, how about you throw in this from your binder? It's you're never going to get a one-to-one trade in this. So I just hate it because sometimes people are really difficult about $1 or $2 and stuff like that. And I'm just I don't want to handle and deal with that. So trading in general, I mean, that's a different topic. But that's why I just thankfully I'm a big boy now. With an adult job, etc. Job. Bro thinks this is a job. But you know what I'm saying, right? I want a card, I just buy it, okay? I'm not 18 anymore. I don't have to trade. I don't have to try and scam, someone at my locals who doesn't realize Dark Arm Dragon is actually $100 instead of $20, like in 2011 or whatever. So it's a different ball game, I guess, to how it was. But I just think like trading as a thing in card games is definitely dissipated to how it was, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. But yeah, I just like, apparently this was controversial. Like, I don't know. If you sell a card, you should know the price of your card. If you ask someone, what are you paying? You're just trying to pull a fast one. It's that simple. Okay? Anyway. So, TLDR, trading in Yu-Gi-Oh! Sucks.